What kind of legacy will he leave behind?
Well, I would definitely define him, because it was a label in politics, as a maverick, for sure, a fighter at core, and maybe someone who, or to whom overall respect, loyalty, and free press actually meant something. Is definitely some kind of unconventional political animal who fought for the sake of his country over the past 30 years, but also for his citizens in Arizona since he was elected there. And actually, it's his second wife, Cindy McCain, who got him this political arena back in Arizona at the very beginning of 1980. And since then, he kept on really trying to cross the political aisle for the sake of the country and really try to make the most of the political game again, to really try to focus on what was right from his perspective for the good of the American citizens.
Now, he became a prominent critic of President Trump during his final months in office. Why did they have such a difficult relationship?
Well, actually, they couldn't agree on anything, frankly to say. The reason is probably merely on the way that John McCain perceived politics, like, of course, again, but something that was really true to defend, again, the American people. On the contrary, he couldn't agree with Donald Trump on so many different issues, just because the two men were not from the very same education first. John McCain was the son and grandsons of admirals. He was raised in the military. He was raised to actually defend and protect this very sake of the army. And Donald Trump didn't even go to the military, didn't even go to the army. So when John McCain, even in his final year in Congress, was actually battling against Donald Trump's policies, especially when it comes to the reform of the health insurance. And the reason why this law wasn't passed was that one vote of John McCain opposing the law is definitely the fight you would see with Donald Trump tweeting or quoting about the fact that the true American hero would have been a POW. Well, actually, POW, John McCain was a POW at core just because he was respectful enough of his opponents, or teaming up with his team, and when he was taken prisoner in Vietnam, to actually stick with his men. And that's definitely what would define him for the rest of the days. And the way we can remember John McCain is definitely this: respect, loyalty at core.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, he chose to stay a prisoner of war, even though because of his contacts and because his dad was a four-star general, he had the chance to leave prison early, but he stayed in solidarity with his prisoners.
Absolutely.
I mean, it just says a lot about his character.
And that's the reason why he actually was kept for 5 full years in Vietnam. But overall, when you think about all the fights that John McCain had to give, it definitely makes him, and maybe it's a bit of irony today to say this, but definitely a survivor at core. He survived so many different difficulties in his life: POW, political battles. And even though when he was running for the nomination of the Republican Party back in 2000 against George W. Bush, he had to endure the most, maybe say stupid today, but the most, controversial tactics of the Republican Party. Karl Rove at the time, who was heading and was managing the George W. Bush campaign, went on John McCain with a robocall type of campaign, saying that he had a daughter out of marriage with a black woman, which was totally false, of course, but it's also the very reason why back in 2008, when he was actually on this battle with Barack Obama for the presidency, he would actually ask his team not to go too hard on Barack Obama, just because of respect again.